sometimes you just have to like bite the bullet and just make a decision and make the switch. And there's always going to be a learning curve with everything, but with customers that we have, they are just like amazed at how simple the platform is and just the user interface.
Hello, Empower Nation. Welcome to Empower Her Money podcast. I'm your host, Angela Duncan, and we talk all things money and business. Today's episode is sponsored by Drive Planning, where they help create tax burdens for their clients, bringing private investments from the wealthy to you. Make more, keep more, live more. On today's episode, I get to interview Christina Rosario with Vitaza, and we are going to talk about systems, processes, all of the things that she has learned in her multifaceted career and how she is helping businesses today go from lead to loyalty. Hi, Christina. Welcome to Empower Her Money podcast. How are you?
Good. And thank you for having me on your program. I'm honored to be a part of it.
Yes, I'm excited for our conversation today. I would love for you to start off first. Let's talk about your background and your journey and kind of how you got to your business today.
Sure. So I guess it's easiest to describe that I have two sides of my background. One came from the corporate side of the world. I was in big tech, Fortune 100, dealing with global financial companies, doing large sales in the order magnitude of $350 million deals and traveling the world. So as my journey evolved through that, I ended up with Accenture, one of the big global consulting firms. And I thought that was going to be the end all be all because I was like, that was my dream job. But it turned out that I was actually the least happy in any job that I ever had there. And what happened was I got recruited out of Accenture to build a renewable energy company. And I ended up becoming the COO, acting CFO. I wasn't the chairman of the board, but I was pretty much running the board. And what would have turned out to be probably $1 billion company. We were dealing with government officials. It was a massive, massive project. And that was really the turning point in my career that helped me find my passion. And I got really involved in the venture capital side of the world, the fundraising. I was, building out the business plans and all of those things, actually building the whole company structure and so on. And, fast forward, that company went on for quite a while. I ended up moving to Florida, and I kind of had to reinvent myself because I left the New York area where, I had been. And I started working with small businesses down here, and I pretty much did startups. I was involved in fundraising where I was doing company cleanups, helping them become what I would call fundable. And, again, writing business plans. I've probably written 150 business plans with financial pro formas attached to them. And then because I was so involved in that side, I actually got recruited by a financial company to get involved in investment banking. And I was also working with some other venture capital. And so, did a bunch of stuff in that space as well. But my passion was always really helping these small businesses get funding, drive strategic growth. So sometimes I would go in as a consultant and I would help clean up their operations and or their financials and, things of that nature. So that eventually evolved to where I started thinking, instead of me acting as a consultant where I can only serve one client at a time, how can I help more people, more companies? And so one of the things in getting funding, the challenge for the small businesses was always having enough revenue to either get, a form of funding that was backed by their revenue stream, or being attractive enough for a venture capital or investment banker, or lender to want to fund them. And in order to drive revenue, the number one thing you need is marketing. So my aha moment was, let's start a full service digital marketing firm. So we did that for quite a while. And what I found was that a lot of the small businesses think that if you just throw money at marketing, it's going to, it's going to bring you more money. Well, that's not the case. One of the things that was lacking that I found after doing the full service digital marketing is that they didn't have the systems and processes in place to handle that or to even take it to the next level. So, it's granted, not all marketing companies are great. Some are great, and the companies still don't get the results that they're looking for in their marketing ROI. So because of my background, and the reason I started explaining my big tech background and my consulting business background is because I made a shift in my business where I no longer do full service digital marketing. I basically have an all-in-one CRM and business suite that takes the technology, the systems, your business processes, everything, automates it. And so we do what I call now from lead to loyalty. So we'll partner with a marketing company who will do the lead generation. We will then capture the lead in our system through, various methods. Make sure that they're qualified, because a lot of times companies, they'll get the leads in, but maybe they're not qualified, and then they get frustrated because they're wasting money on unqualified leads. So we have a way to qualify them, and then nurturing them. And so the statistics are that 80% of your audience that touches you are not ready buyers until between the 5th and 12th contact. So, wow. If a company's doing lead generation, they're getting a lead via email and they don't follow up with it right away. I mean, that's another key thing, is follow-up needs to take place immediately, because the modern consumer wants instant response. So it's response time and it's nurture. And so we will capture the lead. We will put in place nurture campaigns. So whether, texting, email campaigns, and also even just real-time engagement via, like text or social and those sorts. So all of those things we can, we pretty much do in our platform. And then taking it to the next level then is, how do you then convert those leads? So a lot of companies have multiple, some companies have, 10, 15 different pieces of software in place just to do all the different aspects of their business. So we also consolidate all of that. So there's cost savings on top of driving revenue. There's also increasing your bottom line. So by driving automation, by consolidating all of your disparate systems that are out there and putting in place a fully integrated, streamlined, automated, consolidated platform, helps drive both top line and bottom line for companies. So kind of, I guess, the last piece of that then is, when companies are investing in marketing or making decisions for their business, what data are they using to make those decisions? Is it gut instinct, or are they actually doing it based off of data-driven, decisions? And so having everything in one single platform enables the reporting and the dashboards and the metrics that you then are more empowered to make better business decisions. So that,
because I think, I was going to say, business owners get so busy in doing their business that they probably don't pay attention to where their marketing is, what is it generating, what's the return on it, and if they don't see that immediate. And I love your statistic that 80%, I didn't really think about that, but how many times you have to reach out to that client before they trust you or they're ready for whatever your product or service is.
Yeah, absolutely. And, the trust factor is a very big part of the relationship building. And so, having your social media presence, there's other aspects just to touch on besides that, is being listed on all the directories and having your Google business profiles. And, that gets back more to some of those marketing things, but they're really foundational pieces that need to be in place. And all of that, again, can be done in a single platform where it's simple for them. Everything is in one place. Their teams are, able to collaborate in one place where there's like full transparency. And just having all of those things in place just drives so much, like efficiency in any business. And then the, you know, the end goal result, of course, is closing sales and, you know, driving revenue.
Yeah, and there's probably a lot of points in there that, you know, we don't even think about as business owners. And so your expertise and where you've done so many different hats and so many different roles, both in the business world and in the corporate world, you're taking the best of everything, putting it into a system, and now helping clients to market correctly, to follow up correctly, to close, you know, more sales, so that the money that they're putting towards the marketing is really working for them.
Yeah, absolutely. And my goal ultimately is to get to a point where, you know, we can even be more value added to, you know, businesses by even doing like, maybe even, you know, getting to a point of doing like an incubator where we can help launch companies. And, you know, because giving them the platform, I mean, that's another thing too, is, you know, if we talk about startup companies for a minute, you know, there's a lot to put in place when you're starting up a company. And when you put in place a system like ours, it's almost feels like you immediately have a real live business up and running and in place. And we can fast track, you know, the whole process so much more simply in working with startups. And startups, you know, again, when I got recruited out of Accenture and I started with the renewable energy company, I like startups is just such an awesome like place to be. So I'm very passionate about startups as well.
I was going to say, for people who are just listening to it and not watching the video, you definitely lit up when you started talking about startups. So that infancy stage of businesses and helping them really to see all of the things that they need to pay attention to in the beginning, because you don't want to have to backtrack and rebuild systems. You want to put the right systems in place to start.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love
it's like
that.
an instant life to a business. Yeah.
Awesome. So talk a little bit about what you've seen, maybe some specific examples of results that you have seen for clients as you have come in, partnered with them, brought in a marketing company. You know, how can you help, you know, create more income and more sales for those companies that do hire you?
Yeah. So I guess one thing I didn't really touch on is kind of the different types of businesses that we focus on. So we do beauty and wellness, sports and fitness, and a lot in the contractor and trades areas, as well as some professional services. But right now, we in the med spa and salon space, we've been doing a lot. And there's a marketing company that we are doing. They're doing lead generation where they do geofence marketing. So you know, when you look at the audience and who their demographic is, a lot of people that would go to salons or spas would likely be Whole Food shoppers. So what the approach that we're taking with them is they're doing a geofence marketing retargeting campaign. So anybody who goes into Whole Foods would start getting the ads. And then in parallel, they have a massive database of email addresses with very detailed demographics. So we're doing very targeted email campaigns from their database, and then they're sending them to our system where we'll have a sales funnel built out, and it captures those leads, and we can go through, you know, qualifying them with questionnaires and so on, and then we put them into you know, a long-term nurture campaign and email and SMS campaign. So, so we actually just started doing that with one company right now. And we're kind of actually doing that as like a kind of cookie cutter model with a lot of different customers that we have that we're having those same conversations with. And, you know, when you think about, you know, typical Google ads or social media ads, I really love this whole approach because it's not the first thing people think of. And so this you know, this company that I'm partnering with, they're a national company and they just have got massive reach. So you know, that's an example of one company, but there are others that are, you know, like consultants that are serving their clients, and you know, they don't want to be involved in the technology side of the marketing and all of that. And especially that's, you know, was some of my background. I love that space. So we partner really well, and basically building out that infrastructure for them to then layer on all of their services is it's just really been a great win-win. So their reputation and the results that they're getting for their clients and, and building their relationship has been benefiting that way as well.
Yeah, I like the geofencing idea, but I think it's important too, and maybe you could speak on this, is that your businesses need to know who their clients are, like really who is your target market in order to understand how that could be put into play.
Yeah, and that is not always an easy question for companies to answer. So I have a fitness company that I've been working with for 2 years now, and especially because, and he also was a startup. I was there in the beginning as a startup with him, among several others, but he in particular, it's been 2 years of his journey where he's been changing his model multiple times, trying to find what is going to be the right demographic. And I actually just spoke to him last week, and he's like, I finally got my market and I know exactly what I want to do. And now I'm ready to start investing in marketing. So having your customer avatar is really, really important. And it is hard, especially as a business owner. You get so inside your own business that it's hard to, like, sometimes that's why, having a coach or a consultant work with you is easy, because it's always easy to look from the outside in and see things. But when you are inside your own business, you just get, clouded with, trying to put the pieces together and come up with the right answers for things. And, a lot of times you don't know what you don't know to even ask. So in terms of building a customer avatar, I highly recommend ChatGPT. I call her a she. So she's great in helping build out customer avatars. And I mean, honestly, I think ChatGPT is really phenomenal with that. And I think that's something every single every company should really do, is very clearly have a customer avatar. And even when you're working with ChatGPT, it's not even a 1 or 2 question. It's working with her and asking, continually, well, add this, what if I do this? And she'll keep coming up with different iterations until you have a really robust customer avatar that makes sense for your business. And then you can take that from there and then, leverage that for your marketing and other initiatives.
Yes, I love that. ChatGPT is a female, so we're going to help her empower us so that we can find our avatar and grow our business.
Yeah.
So as we start to wrap up, I have a fun question for you, which is, if you could have a superpower or a super talent, what would it be and why?
So the easiest way for me to answer that question is pretty much what has already been said about me, that I already have as a superpower. And that is my ability to take things that are very complicated and make them very simple. And I think that's one reason that everything we just talked about, and having my platform, and that's, a all-in-one turnkey system, is taking all of these disparate pieces of your business and putting them into one very simple platform, which, by the way, is not only is it super powerful, but it's just a very easy user interface. And that is one thing also too, just to kind of add, kind of diverting a second here, but a lot of companies are afraid to adopt a new system because they get so used to all their disparate systems, and they, there's that change of fear. And sometimes you just have to, like, bite the bullet and just make a decision and make the switch. And there's always going to be a learning curve with everything, but with customers that we have, they are just, like, amazed at how simple the platform is and just the user interface. So so again, taking something very complicated and making it simple, I guess, is the long answer to your question, or short answer to your question.
That's awesome. Christina, you have had an amazing career, and I love what you're doing and how you're helping businesses grow. Obviously, it's a podcast about money, so you're helping businesses create revenue and hold on to those leads, and also get bankable like you were talking about. So that's awesome information. If our audience wants to reach you, Christina, what's the best way for them to reach you?
So my website is vitazadigital.com. It's VITAZA digital.com.
Awesome. Thank you so much for your time today.
All right. Well, thank you. I appreciate you having me, and hopefully I shared some valuable information for the audience. So I'm happy to be a part of it.
Thank you so much for tuning into Empower Her Money podcast. Hope you enjoyed this episode. Don't forget to subscribe, share this podcast, and leave a review wherever you are tuning in.